investigation moves forward. Wolf?
They're moving forward indeed. All right, Sullivan, thank you. Let's get back to the breaking news of the U.S. killing a top terrorist leader. We're joined now by Congressman John Garamendi. He's the leading Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. We got lots to talk about, including Iran. But let's talk about this targeted killing of this Khorasan leader, this al-Qaeda offshoot, a guy by the name of Muhsin al-Fadli. Big deal or little deal?
It's very important. It's very important in this. This was a very dangerous group. The Khorasans were known to be dangerous. One of the reasons we went into Syria in the first place. And it's also a message to every other terrorist group out there. We'll find you, we'll know where you are, and you're at serious risk, and you'll learn what a Hellfire missile is all about.
Because, of course, a Hellfire missile on a drone is the missile that killed this guy and presumably others who were with him. But Khorasan's main objective of this offshoot of al-Qaeda was to go after U.S. targets outside the region, presumably right here in the United States.
Well, exactly, and that's what made them so very, very dangerous. But we can find them, and we will, wherever they happen to be in the world. And you take a look at Somalia, you look at what goes on in Yemen, Afghanistan, even in Pakistan. We have ways of knowing where these people are, and eventually, Mr. Baghdadi is on the list, too. Yeah. I noticed just today he's spreading his operation in anticipation that he's going to be welcomed with a Hellfire missile before too long.
Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi is the leader of the ISIS group. And as you have no problem with the U.S. going out targeting these guys for assassination?
I have no problem at all. These are known terrorists. These are guys that are out to get us in America, and we're going to get to them first.
What's your analysis of what happened in Chattanooga last week? Because we're getting more and more disturbing information about the killer, the shooter, Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz.
There seems to be a common thread through all of these, whether it's the situation in South Carolina or in Colorado. There's a disturbed person, usually a younger person that's disturbed for some reason, and they lock up on some sort of an ideology. And that ideology then gives them license to commit murder. And in this case, we're finding this probably goes back to al-Awlaki and his influence on this individual. We'll know more, but there's always starts with a disturbed young individual. And the real point for us as citizens in this community is to watch, to be aware, to families to watch. Apparently he was able to hide it, but I'm not so sure he was really able to hide the trouble. Reach out, get the help that is needed in a family, and if you see something, say something.
But his family said, yes, he did have some serious problems, depression, bipolar, or couldn't hold on to a job. Clearly, he had some drug-related, alcohol-related problems, but he did go spend several months last year in Jordan. His uncle now in Jordan is being questioned by Jordanian authorities. And we don't know who he met with. We don't know if he got instructions to do this or he was simply inspired by Anwar al-Awlaki, the American-born cleric, the AQAP killer who was killed by the U.S. in a drone strike, as you well remember.
Well, it may be all of the above. We will find out what happened in Jordan. Undoubtedly in Jordan, there was a lot of discussion about ISIL, about what it was doing, about its glory, if you would call it that. And he probably picked up on a lot of that. Al-Awlaki apparently now is very much inspired him. So all of these things add up. The drug, the depression, the trouble at home, the fact that he was known to want guns and that he had acquired guns, all of these are things. Can we put together the dots and protect ourselves from it? We're going to have to work really hard at that. But there are signs, and it's up to all of us in our own families to understand what's going on. These tragedies are not just limited to this kind of activity against the military, but it happens in the communities. We've seen it most recently in Modesto, California, near where I live.
In your district?
Just outside my district, 5 people killed. Troubled young man. Took out his wife, or his soon-to-be wife, the child. So these things happen.
But he wasn't inspired by some...
No, this has nothing to do with terrorism. This has something to do with what takes place in our community.
He was just a mentally sick person.
Apparently so.
Do you have confidence that the men and women who work at U.S. military recruiting centers in your district in California right now, because they're not armed, that are they safe, are they secure, given the edict that's gone out from ISIS and other terrorist groups to target U.S. military personnel?
Well, they certainly stepped up their own protection. They're much more careful, they're much more aware, they're doing things that are very simple to be done, and frankly,
Should they be armed?
I don't think that's going to really work. We know that the local police need to be more vigilant, more security in the area, more patrols in the area. We also know that there are things you can do to make these recruiting centers safer.
Because usually they're
not
just in a strip center. They're in a mall or whatever. They want people to come in and feel at ease. But what's wrong with letting trained military personnel have a weapon?
Well, you just said the right word, trained. Many of these people are trained for combat in the field, but not necessarily for what might happen in a particular area.
Well, maybe they should be trained for that.
They're going to have to be more aware of what's going on. We need to take a very careful look at this. Who are these individuals that are doing the recruiting? What is their background? What is their training? Clearly, the military police have a role to play in this. I met yesterday with the commanders at the Travis Air Force Base, and we went through this in detail about that base and how they are protecting themselves on that base. And frankly, it's very impressive.
All right, Congressman Garamendi, we have more to discuss. I want you to stay with us much more with Congressman John Garamendi when we come back.